I find that I cannot sit in curiosity and judgment at the same time. And so even though sometimes I go to that place of judgment, it's not really where I want to hang out because I don't find that it serves me. So by leaning into that curiosity, it pulls me out of that and allows me really to listen, understand. To me, inner work is that process of evolution, of being able to self-reflect, to a willingness to learn, a willingness to try new things, make changes, sit in discomfort, because that's where the change comes in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inner Work, the Collective Growth Podcast. I'm MaryAnn Means-Dufrene, and I'm so excited to introduce Karen Finney. Karen, say hello.
Woo! Hi, everybody. So glad to be here. Very excited.
Yes, it's a big day for inner work and a big day for collective growth. Karen is a strategic advisor and just an incredible part of the work that we do at Collective Growth. And I'm really excited to introduce Karen to everyone because Karen's going to play a big part in this podcast moving forward. Isn't that right, Karen?
That is true. And I am pumped for it. So I'm very glad to get to meet everyone today.
Yes, Karen has an incredible voice. I mean, both the sound of it and then also what you offer into the world. As a seasoned HR leader, just an incredible all-star. And we're going to get to learn more about Karen, about the work that she does here with Collective Growth. But Karen, wanted to hear kind of just a couple of top lines for you about what you're excited about bringing to the podcast.
Sure. I am so excited to, just get to listen to your guests talk. I'm excited to hear all the messages that they bring. And then I look forward to debriefing with you. I think some of the best conversations are the conversation afterward, where we can just talk about what hit for us, what resonated within that storytelling. I know that that's how I learn a lot of time is through stories. So being able to talk through that together and speak to that, as well as being able to bring coaching tips and tools, real things that people can use. I myself love a takeaway that I can go and practice, suggested actions, things like that. So I'm very excited to share that too.
Yes. Well, we were talking about this the other day. We're right now recording. This is the 5th podcast episode for Inner Work that we're recording. So very early stages.
Woohoo!
You'll get to have, such a perspective on how this evolves over time and how we meet the needs of listeners and contribute to the space. But I was finishing one of our first 4 episodes and texted you. I was like, I think the coolest part, maybe not to demean our guests because they're going to be amazing, will be the debrief around what we heard, what the leadership perspective that we see, because sometimes it's hard for guests, especially those maybe you haven't done a lot of podcasts or aren't in this space. They're busy leading rather than thinking about leading, to go to that next level around how their cognitive experience and their clinical experience of what it is that they're learning. And so I think we'll be able to kind of peel back some of the layers and pull some of the threads, so to speak, on what they've brought to the podcast.
I love that. And I always love processing with you. I feel like we get into really good conversations. So,
well, if we could get paid just to talk all the time.
Yes. Let's make that happen. On the vision board now.
Beautiful world. And this points too toward, I feel so fulfilled by the work that we get to do and by our working relationship. And I respected you. I've known you for 7 or 8 years now, and respected your work so much. But to be able to work with you is really an unexpected gift. It wasn't something that I'd been had the leisure of planning. And I feel so blessed about how it has all come together.
Oh my gosh. Me too. I feel like I met you, those people you just vibe with immediately.
Yes.
And I met you and I was like, love her energy, kept finding excuses to bring you in because I loved what you were doing with the team. And so, yeah, if you had asked me then, I wouldn't have been able to predict where we've arrived, but it has been the greatest surprise and delight. So it's a pleasure.
And we met when you were with NBC5 Telemundo here locally, and you'd been with NBC for how long at that time?
Oh gosh, I'm going to have to rework the math because I can't remember exactly when we met. I was with them for about 16 years total. And I'm going to say maybe 14 years in is probably when we met. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I made you run away.
You No, not at all. You supported and provided such valuable, impact and, you did amazing things while you were there. So I was just so happy to have had you as a partner and a consultant, during the tail end of my time there.
Yes. Well, and it started with doing a workshop. I think Nada Ruddock was someone I'd met in Fort Worth, and
Yes.
she introduced us. And you all just needed you did a number of different training programs for your teams, and you
Mhm.
needed a workshop of some sort. Maybe it was on communication or growth mindset
Yeah.
or something like that. And so came in. This was when I was with Dale Carnegie. So came in and did that, and then said, "Hey, going out on my own. Let's do another thing." Did
Yes.
thing, and then that was the launching of collective growth beyond just leadership development, not just, but beyond leadership development to culture. And
Yes.
and there was a culture need at NBC at that time.
Absolutely. And, I'll give Nada a shout out. I saw her the other day. And I got to tell her that we were working together. And if you were in Fort Worth, you probably know Nada because I swear she knows everybody. She is such a presence. I want to say legend, but she would say, don't say that because that makes me sound old. But I was able to tell her that we were working together and hopefully I thanked her for introducing us and bringing us together. But yeah, I mean, we brought you in to do some training that went so well. And when you came and said, hey, I'm doing this now, I had full trust and faith that you were going to do some transformative things. So we had a need at the station for some culture work. We were doing some reorganization. My plate was full, as it often was. And I said, you know what? You've impressed me so much up to this point. I think this is going to be amazing too. So brought you in with that full trust and belief, and then was able to see that in real time, just see the impact that your work was having on the team and on the people. It was really special. So
Well, and that to have had this experience with the work and now be doing the work, I hadn't thought of that as something that you can convey to potential clients, that you've been on their side. And having been the HR partner, it's not that you couldn't do what we were doing. You had the skills and the training to focus on culture, but you didn't have the time and the capacity.
absolutely. I mean, I think that's the benefit of having a partner. And there's always things that you want to work on. And then there are things that will always be the 911, the fire drill, the thing that must get done. And depending on the capacity of teams, just knowing that it's okay and it's great to bring in help and that support and that expert guidance and advice so that there is one thing that you could just go, you know what, we've got it.
That's right.
It's taken care of. I have the support. So yes, it is unique to say, oh, I originally was a client and now I'm a strategic advisor here.
Yes. Yay. It's reminding me of that hair club for men.
Oh my gosh, I was totally just,
Yes.
it was a little commercial sounding. It was like, I am not only, I use it too. Yeah, that was bad. That's typical me though, very
I
cheesy.
like like and everyone, Karen may break out into song at different moments. So,
I'm surprised it doesn't happen. I thought you were cueing me earlier when you said something about my voice.
yeah.
Does she want me to sing right now?
Yes.
Maybe
Oh,
she
sure
does. I don't know.
that was a missed opportunity on my part. So
I
maybe we'll have you close out with a trill.
Oh gosh, no. It's gotta be spontaneous, otherwise it'll be awkward.
Well, it's awkward regardless, but
Awkward for me. Sorry, we enjoy each other too much.
I love it. So one of the things that we're doing on Inner Work is asking our guests what's been a transformative experience for them,
Mhm.
unexpected or expected. Because a part of what we're talking about, these are seasoned leaders, executives, founders, people that have worked hard to build something, enjoyed some measure of success, right?
Mhm.
And what we're interested in and what we get goofy about is what happened internally for people. And I like this idea of what built them. So as in the process of building this, what built them as a leader, and I know my transformation has been huge. And so I wonder for you, what has gone on for you? What's been a moment or an experience that has called something different from you than what you
Yes.
expected?
Yes. And this is such a big part of my journey. So I appreciate you asking that because especially as a coach, this is something that I've really brought into that work because I've had these experiences. One being r- relatively early on, right? I think I was right around 30 when when this happened. So early enough in the career, definitely earlier than I am now. I was such a driver, right? I found what I wanted to do. I got into HR and I was just driving. I lived to work. I really felt that my value was in that just doing more, staying late, push, 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 push. And then there reached a point where I looked around and was like, what am I doing? So I was just that person who approached my career as that ladder and I'm on this rung and I'm looking at this rung and then this rung, but I really wasn't looking beyond that.
Yeah.
And so there was a time where I kind of took a step back and just said, what am I doing? What am I working towards? Is this even really what I want? Am I on the right path? Um, and that's the inner work, right? Asking some really challenging questions that you don't necessarily want to sit in that discomfort and, explore those answers. But I did, and it was incredibly valuable because it made me realize that I was working towards an image of what I thought I should be or should do. And so I was kind of crafting this career that looked great on the outside, but maybe wasn't resonating as much for me on the inside.
Yeah.
And that became a real pivot point for me to say, "Ooh, I need to make a change. I need to move towards where I feel that I want to be, not just something that looks good on paper."
What were some of the signs for you? It sounds like there was maybe unfulfillment, but what were some of the early signs that a change was needed?
Um, I really felt that's such a great question. There was a disconnect, right? I mean, I feel like there was a disconnect between my professional life and my personal life in the sense of I felt like I was two different people, right? That there was not alignment. I felt like I was, one person at work, a completely different person at home. And that was creating a lot of tension for me.
Mhm. Were you married? Were you with Kyle at this point?
We were we married at that point? I think this was right before we were probably engaged.
Okay.
Um, so not yet married, but just it really started to feel like there was that fragmentation,
Mhm.
and just burnout,
Yeah.
exhaustion. I just didn't feel like I was able to be my best self, and then I almost felt like I was just kind of spending weekends almost mentally recovering and to try to prepare for the next week versus being able to enjoy them. And so it was just this idea of like is this all there is? Is
Mhm.
this really how is this what I want? Does this work for me? And I realized like, no, it did not.
Yeah. So there's a somatic piece, the energetic component that's kind of beating you over the head first.
Absolutely. And I can be a slow learner. I'm the first to admit that. Like I can be a very slow learner. And so, in my mind, I'm doing all of the right things. I'm eating well. I'm at the gym at 3:30 in the morning before I get on the train to go into my I know you love that. I'm like there waiting for the employee to open the gym, like, let's go. I gotta get to work. Um, and I think there were a few times when my body, I mean, physically shut down. And so there were a few different wake up calls. Speaking of getting married, I think when I found myself in the health center with a fever like 2 days before my wedding
Mm,
because I had overdone it so much
yeah.
and I'm like, Just give me something. Give me that."
Right.
Like, that was the point where I was like, oh, you really screwed up. Like, you can't be sick for your own wedding. You can't be like, you've been working towards this. You've been planning this and
Yes.
you deserve this little break. And that was when I was like, maybe I need to shift my strategy and my approach of it.
Yeah. But so even the language, working towards my wedding, right? Like everything is a
I was earning that vacation.
everything is to be accomplished. It's and isn't that wonderful in how it drives us, right? You have drive. You have that. And we think you're a two, Enneagram two, wing three.
Okay.
Not that we believe in boxing anybody in. It's just fun to play with, right?
Oh, yeah. It's just fun to have the common language, the shared language. So I'm
Exactly.
down with it.
The driving, achieving, pushing. So you would have felt more on your three side
Yes.
at that time.
Yes. I think I've shared this with other people as well. overused superpowers become detrimental, right? And so I think that was not always the healthiest season, even though in my mind, I'm working out, I'm eating healthy. The full spectrum of holistic self-care, that wasn't the healthiest season that I was in. And so I was really overusing those strengths of the achievement and the drive to my detriment.
Yeah.
And eventually figured out that that was not the best idea. And perhaps there was another way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then and this speaks to your professional journey now,
Yeah.
what we experience becomes our area of expertise, right? We've lived it. It's a part of us. It's in us. And so you're now completing, or have you completed your certification in energy leadership?
I am so close. I'm in the home
Have
stretch.
this hard job, you could just wrap it right up.
I know. I know, life so close. I just need to do a few more things, complete my test, and then I will have my coaching certification. So I'm very excited about it. And you're right. I'm a firm believer that your mess becomes your message. And that everything that I've walked through, that I think of that when I'm coaching others. And uh I think it's been incredibly helpful, right? To give people the permission to say, hey, figuring out what's right for you is about being true to yourself and to your values and designing what you want your life and your career to look like. And it doesn't matter if it resonates for other people,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't matter if it makes sense to them. I'm pretty sure when I told everybody that I was leaving Manhattan and moving to Texas and taking the job here, which is amazing for me. My friends and colleagues in Manhattan were probably like, I'm sorry, you're doing what?
If they had pearls to clutch, they would clutch them.
They would. They would have been like, "Are you okay?" And I was at that point where I was like, I don't need to explain myself." And I share this with other people too. You don't need to convince anybody. You don't need to sell anybody on your decisions. I'm big on demonstrating just through myself and my life that it's the right thing for me, regardless of whether it makes sense to anybody else,
Yeah.
because I'm not accountable to anybody else.
That's right. That's right.
Maybe it might seem like, but
Yeah. Like, I love it. Hey, noticers, if you're dreaming of glowing, healthy skin, you must try Hana Azul Korean skincare. Myung Chong has been transforming skin for 27 years with facials so good, they create the Hana Azul glow. I've been going to her med spa for years, and my skin looks better than ever. Her products use medical-grade ingredients that truly nourish your skin and keep it radiant. Visit hennaazul.com to explore her amazing products and services. That's HANNAISUL.com. Now go get your glow. So that was a turning point for you in really maybe reconcepting your life and thinking about where you really wanted to dig in. And then was another turning point when you left NBC.
yes. So I had such an amazing career there. I mean, to be able to work there with the level of talent that I worked with, the people that I've learned from, many of whom I stay in touch with because they're amazing. Many of whom are still there. I had such a phenomenal experience of really getting to grow a career and learn how to do HR with people that are recognized as being some of the best in the business. So shout out to them. Um, but I also realized that there was a point where it wasn't right for me anymore. I knew that if I wanted to stay with NBC, to grow my career there, I was going to have to go back to New York, go to LA. We had put down roots here in Fort Worth, and I wasn't looking to do that, make that move. And I also felt like I had done the HR business partner role for so long that, you move client groups, it's a new challenge, new people, but not necessarily totally different, and I really wanted to lean more into the talent side.
Yeah.
So I had the opportunity. I left NBC. I was able to go to Prudential in a fully remote role and work on this team at the time. It was called Future of Work. That was part of their talent development organization, and to a really an entrepreneurial role. I mean, this was where we were creating, we were building, we were concepting this whole new kind of talent landscape. And to be a part of something like that, an entrepreneurial role, but within a big company, I think I learned so much from that. And then really getting to work with some amazing people doing user experience design and kind of learn more about employee experience. It was so fun. So
Yeah.
that was a pivot because I had ascended to a certain role within NBC and kind of took a step to the side, and some might say a step back title wise, right? To do something different. And it was great. I was so thrilled to do that and really loved the time there too.
Well, I'm so thrilled you got that experience because everything that you've been able to bring to collective growth, knowing the crunch that we were in, we'd never gone more than one full-time employee. And so now we've got Haley on our team who's incredible.
Yes.
We've got
Love
you.
her.
It was time to step into some more, I'm gonna say complex, but rigor around our processes so that we can scale. We're in this like push hard to
Mhm.
all. And so what were some of your first experiences or thoughts as you started diving into the work of collective growth?
Oh, my first experiences or thoughts. First of all, I think there is something, and we've talked about this a little bit, something really amazing going to work with somebody where you have this existing relationship. So different from just starting a job from scratch, right? Because we had this relationship, we've kept in touch over the years, um, and just this level of trust. I trusted you implicitly from day one, and I felt like you trusted me right away with giving me a lot. When you hadn't seen me do anything yet, there you were just kind of like, "Here, go for it." So that is such a wonderful experience in and of itself to be able to start a new role in that way. And then as far as the work, I just love how dynamic it is. I love that we're doing different things with different clients. Um, that it's our days, every day is a little bit different. And the pace, how fast everything moves, and being able to see the immediate value, right? So we are really like pushing and driving, and then seeing transformation happen in real time. And so I love that. Sometimes, there can be a longer payoff in my past experiences, right before CG, around the time it takes to really take something through and bring it to fruition and get it started. And I feel like here it's like, no, we're running and gunning. So we're getting to see those positive effects more quickly, which I love.
Yeah. And then exactly the lessons that we've both learned, because I have a long history of burnout, pushing myself too hard and approaching life like an athlete. That how do we pace ourselves and what
Yes.
is the real client expectation versus what our sense of service, responsibility, guilt, fear gets us to hustle around and perform. And so I think all of us, and we talk about this as a team, take the deep breath, know that our bent, our bias is going to be toward action
Yep.
and toward delivering something really high value really fast. And when is that necessary? And even some of our clients say this to us, and our client partners are
When
like,
client's telling you to slow down, that's when it's really funny. Like, easy.
like, and then it comes, what we're because our stuff that we get to work on is important to the business, but it's also enjoyable and we know it's going to make an impact. But then how do you weave it into the operations? And our clients are busy operating the organization.
Yes.
Sensitivity to how demanding operations are, what capacity for change people and organizations have, and letting our own nervous systems settle and calm so that we so that we can decipher some of that.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yes, we are. I think bias towards action is a very nice way to put that. That we're all just like more, 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 more. Right. Like we just get into it and then we just want to go, go, go. And I think it's definitely something that I have learned to practice over the last few years. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
That's right.
And as hokey as that sounds, being able to apply it to the work life and the career and say, what do I actually need to do today? What is actually important? And even just the practice of being really planful, um, so that the things that need to get done are getting done, and recognizing that the things that don't need to get done today or even this week, it's okay to realign and build them into the calendar for the next week versus I got to do it all. I got to do it all.
That's right. And that's something you're bringing to me. And Haley and I have talked about bringing to both of us is, I have a robust to do list and I will block a few days in advance. But what if I started looking a week, 2 weeks out and being more planful in that way, which is a challenge, but also key to us scaling, key to us really being able to think about all the levers that we're trying to pull and how we're moving. So thank you for bringing that to us. And
Of course.
we've all done our strengths finder or our Clifton strengths in our Enneagram. And none of us have like super skills in execution or organization.
Yes.
But on the spectrum, you're the strongest on the spectrum of organization and I mean maybe even self.
It's such a compliment, right? You're the best of the worst.
You're out of how terrible we all are.
Well, it's funny. Somebody the other day complimented me. It was like, "Oh, you have such amazing organizational skills. I would love to pick your brain around how you do that." And I just laughed because to me, it's I think it's a little bit of overcompensation. Like I kind of have to have all these tools and things in place because it is not maybe my
Right.
natural state.
Right.
So I've had to I've learned,
Yes.
I've developed and learned habits and probably, but you know what? I also say, if you want to learn something, go to the person who struggled with it
That's
because
right.
they can actually teach you practical school skills and
Yeah.
tools and things, right? When somebody says, "Hey, you're a great presenter and you're a great facilitator. How do you do it?" It's like, I'm enjoying myself. I'm just having fun up there. Like I'm not nervous. I'm just,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
like
you're
try to take the microphone away from me, right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that I can't explain. I don't probably don't have great tips on that. Make
Right.
some up. But
Yeah.
for organizational skills, like, oh, totally. I can tell you all my hacks because that's what I have to do to stay organized.
Yeah. And the biggest one for me is calming my body,
Mm.
calming my racing mind, and
Yes.
sitting down and doing that thing that's hardest, which is deep work and planning. And when I do that, then because I've always thought of it as it's going to take me out of what I need to do. Actually, no, it enables. I sit down, I work deeply on that project, or I plan something strategically. It enables the rest of that work to happen with less effort, but it's not what we anticipate it being. And I think it goes back to in that Clifton Strengths model, you want to focus your energies on your strengths because then your results will be world class. Use those strengths over and over. And I think you've got to have your areas of weakness or liabilities, we might call them,
Mhm.
up to par. And
Yes.
nobody can say what is par, but what's par for you, right? And for me, sitting where I am, where I really want to embody the CEO seat,
Mhm.
that means continued discipline around some things. And I used to not like the word discipline, but continued appreciation and acceptance of what that means. It's planfulness.
Yeah.
It's slowing down. It's being thoughtful around approach. It's enabling systems, enabling people to move forward in roles rather than me being the one doing all the action. It's less egoic, actually.
And hopefully less stressful, right? I mean, I think what you just said about the bringing things up to par, that really resonates for me because if one of my struggles is time blindness and not really thinking through how long something's going to take, and how many things I've committed to in a period of time, then spending that hour every week just going and saying, okay, over the next 2 weeks, what are the things that I want to have done? The dates, all of that kind of reverse engineering when I'm going to work on things. That really, for me, shines a light on, okay, how good of a job have I done of committing myself appropriately? And that's what keeps me from saying, like, well, I said I was going to do this, so I'm going to have to pull an all nighter and do it. Right.
Right.
And so that being able to build that habit, I like discipline, but I'll say habit.
I like, like
Habit, just, in case discipline is triggering, right? That habit to say, this is, while time consuming, this is going to pay off because it's also going to save me from myself and
That's
from
great.
where maybe I'm wanting to overcommit or just saying like, okay, now I got to make that deadline
Yeah.
however I can get there.
Yep. Yep. So we're talking about discipline, aka habits, overwork, burnout, learning to lead over time. All of these themes are really important to inner work, the podcast, to the work of collective growth. What are some other themes that you're excited about bringing to the podcast?
Other things that I'm excited to talk about.
Mhm.
I really love I love talking to leaders, and speaking with leaders, not just about their journey, but what are the habits that they're developing. And so really digging into how are they approaching leading a team, leading an organization. I'm a big believer that the great leaders are the people that we want to follow, right? Like you can't force leadership. I guess you can to a certain extent and you get compliance, but if we really want the buy-in and the followership, that
Yeah.
comes from being a really strong and motivating leader of others. So I love having conversations on all of those topics, things related to, the human experience, the people and worker experience, the building and growing of new leaders and coaching leaders of leaders, right? Those topics, psychological safety, all of those workplace things that really contribute to having that strong and effective workplace that has an amazing culture.
Yeah. That's awesome. And that's what we hope to do is have leaders who are on a different points of the path of leadership, who are able to speak to what the journey's been like for them, moments that
Yeah.
have changed them as they have changed and will continue to change us. And I do see how, I feel like I've been on this rapid growth trajectory, but I don't
Mhm.
think there's any stopping because there's just so much more that we all can learn. And what an incredible testing ground and training ground for us to be building an organization.
Yes. So true. It's
And
an
I really,
exciting time.
it
It's
is.
a very exciting time for collective growth and just the work that we're so privileged to do.
That's right. That's exactly right. Um, what's something that you hope listeners take from inner work?
Um, from this episode, I hope they're just having fun with this dynamic duo here. Uh,
Me too.
hope you're laughing along with us. And, I just think that concept of inner work is so important. When I think about where I am now, where I have come from, some of the places where I've skinned my knees along the way, um, hasn't always been pleasant, right? Like, talk about like the messy middle, right? The rough things, the rough patches that happen that allow you to get to where you are looking to be, that allow you to evolve. And to me, inner work is that process of evolution, of being able to self-reflect, to a willingness to learn, a willingness to try new things, make changes, sit in discomfort, because that's where the change comes in. And so I am just excited for listeners to hear stories of people that are experiencing or have experienced these things, and then turning inward and saying, what is the inner work that I need to do? How does this resonate for me?
That's right. That's awesome. So one of the things we've talked about that we want to be a habit in inner work and how we close the episodes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we said maybe, and so kind of let's see what fits here. We ask the guests to say one mindset, one value, and one habit, or we ask them, tell us one mindset, one value, or one habit that you're using right now to guide your inner work. So
Yes.
out of those two, what do you think what are you most drawn to as a guest, quote unquote?
Well, I think the mindset one is very big, and I am applying a lot these days,
Yeah.
with myself and encouraging others to do the same. Approaching everything with a mindset of curiosity.
Mhm.
And this comes into play at work. This comes into play at home. I have two littles, and well, one's like a preteen now, but I think there are definitely times where, in my deep experience and knowledge, that I want to come into a situation, and I feel like I know exactly what's going on, and that puts me in a very judgmental, I think, mindset, not intentionally, but it's just if I know exactly what's happening, then I'm sitting in that place versus if I come into it with a place of curiosity and I genuinely ask questions.
Yeah.
Not ask questions where it's like, I know the answer. I'm going to ask this question.
I'm
I'm
gonna
going to ask it and I'm just going to prove my point.
It's the Socratic method, but
Yeah, all right. It's the Socratic method. I'm teaching you. Buckle up. But genuinely asking questions, I find that I cannot sit in curiosity and judgment at the same time. And so, you know,
Yeah.
even though sometimes I go to that place of judgment, it's not really where I want to hang out, because I don't find that it serves me. So by leaning into that curiosity, it pulls me out of that and allows me really to listen, understand, and to get me more into a place of um solutioning as a team, right? Because if I'm asking questions, then it's like, well, let's figure this out versus here's what you need to do. And if you just did it the way I said, it would be fine.
That's right. Yeah. So mindset is governing a lot for you right now. It's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
totally. Karen, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
on the first time. I can't wait to kick off our debriefs with guests. Can't wait to hear more about the different segments and offerings that you're going to be bringing to Inner Work. And thank you to everyone for joining us for another episode of Inner Work, the Collective Growth Podcast. And we can't wait to see you soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.